This is what I don't understand. How much more evidence do we need about where Obama is coming from? The people he surrounds himself with, his phony memoirs, his own comments, his actions, and we have his reverend, he sat there on that bench for 20 years, Obama and his family did, and I've called Wright a Marxist from day one. And Mark, what's with this Marxist crap? Well, I want you to listen to this. This is new, our buddy Andrew Breitbart's site. This is Jeremiah Wright, cut 10, go.
Where corporate media sets up a binary lens through which we are taught to view the world, an us versus them world, and a communist versus Christian world. After all, we are a Christian country. Monthly Review gives us multiple lenses through which to view a very complex world with layers and layers of nuanced differences. You state up front that your starting point is, quote, no-nonsense Marxism, unquote. But you dispel all the negative images we have been programmed to conjure up with just the mention of that word socialism or Marxism.
We're not conjuring up images, you buffoon, you Marxist, you anti-Semite, you nutjob. We're not conjuring up images. They're real-world images of what Marxism has done to people. Red China, the old Soviet Union, the captive nations, parts of Latin America, including Cuba. Nobody's conjuring up anything, you old codger. I'll bet he was great as a reverend. Do you ever talk about God, by the way, and faith? No. He preaches a mix of Marxism and something else, but not Christianity. Now, most of us think this is a magnificent nation, right? Now, when Wright speaks, these aren't little snippets put together, as Obama used to say. He is an endless monologue of idiotic statements, which is why Obama was attracted to him. Let's be honest and quit playing games here. And here's Wright again. Cut 11, go.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity to bring you a word of thanksgiving from those who don't ordinarily get a hearing unless they go along with the program, sing in tune with whatever is the popular tune, and stay in lockstep with the political pundits who tell us what is politically correct, what is permissible, and what will be tolerated from a person of color in this land, the land of the greed and the home of the brave. Excuse me, the land of the greed and home of the slave.
You know, you're such a slob. You're such a punk. You've made out like a bandit spewing this crap. Really? Isn't this the guy that has a multi-million-dollar home being built in a largely white gated community? You got to listen to this crap. Oh, he's so brave and he's such a slave. Poor Reverend Jeremiah Wright. He's had it so tough in this horrific country. I've said before, if it's so awful here, what the hell are you doing staying here? You can leave. I'm not saying you have to leave. No, I'm saying, but you can. I mean, we do have these Marxist paradises. We have Cuba, which is basically a penal colony. We have Venezuela, which is basically becoming a penal colony. We have Bolivia. We have Ecuador going down the tubes. Then there's Zimbabwe. Of course, there's Red China, where if Wright said anything that offended that government, it would be the first and the last time he got to say it. There's Burma. There's all kinds of countries that have this magnificent Marxism going on, or statism of one form or another. I mean, if you really, really hate this country so much, and what I mean by that is hate the American people so much, because the country represents the people in a country like ours. If you hate the American people so much, if it's really so tough for you, if you feel like a slave here, I would leave. I'd get the hell out. I mean, why would you stay in such a hellhole? And yet he does. Because the poison that comes out of Reverend Wright's mouth in most societies, he'd wind up, well, let me say this, they'd gag him. He wouldn't be able to say these things. Those societies he holds up as magnificent, like most of the Arab countries and Muslim countries, if he took a contrary view, we'd never hear from Reverend Wright again. But I thought you'd want to hear the latest. Excuse me, the land of the greed and home of the slave. That's you. Now, does Obama think this? He won't admit it. But let me tell you something you need to think about, in my humble opinion. Barack Obama has done more damage to this society than Reverend Jeremiah Wright ever could. Because Wright is correctly dismissed as a lunatic. But many of his beliefs, many of his policies are embraced by this president. That's why he sat there for 20 years in that church and was a participant in that congregation. That's why Van Jones was on his staff. That's why Anita Dunn is on his staff. That's why Mark Lloyd is in his administration. That's why Carol Browner is in his administration. Marxists, Maoists, Socialists, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That's why Cuba's lawyer in the Elian Gonzalez case is Barack Obama's lawyer at the White House. These aren't coincidences, ladies and gentlemen. These people have been fully vetted.